This Christmas Eve marks my 10th year being a Saints Row fan, or my 10th Saints Row anniversary, whatever you want to call it. I've been a Saints Row fan for 10 years, and that's crazy to me because that's half of my life. I've been a Saints Row fan for half of my life, and it doesn't feel that long. But I don't know. I just wanted to sit down and talk about some Saints Row memories that I have. Thought that'd be a chill thing to do. Disclaimer. I have talked about these a little bit in the past, a few of these, and also it might be a little unorganized because I kind of just listed off things I wanted to talk about. So if I'm kind of all over the place, I'm sorry for that, I guess. I don't know. Feel free to share your Saints Row memories in the comments if you want to. I'd love to hear about them. So as I said, this story starts 10 years ago almost, Christmas Eve 2009. That is when I first played Saints Row 2. It wasn't even a Christmas present for me. It was a Christmas present that my uncle got for my dad, and I was still excited to have it in the house, even though it technically wasn't mine. We all played it anyway, but a few months prior, I had seen somebody play Saints Row 2 on YouTube, and it looked really cool, so I was really happy that it was in the house so I could play it. And I don't remember much about my first time playing Saints Row 2, but it quickly became a game that my dad and I both played very regularly. I didn't have GTA 4 yet, so Saints Row 2 was really the only way I could have my open world game fix unless I wanted to dust off the PS2. But if you're a fan of open world games, which you probably are if you're watching this, you know that the good ones last a long time. The ones with good maps and a lot of things to do will take up a lot of your time if you're invested in them, and that's what Saints Row 2 did. Saints Row 2 was a game that I played like every day for such a long time, and I made a lot of dumb characters, and I don't have the first character I made, but I have a few other ones that I can show you. They're pretty bad, but I was 10, so what are you gonna do? But like most people watching that started with Saints Row 2, I fell in love with it, and I couldn't wait for the third game. So when Saints Row 3 came out, I didn't get it immediately. I had to wait a few weeks because we were kind of poor at the time, but I did eventually get it, and I made a character that looked like this, which might be worse than my Saints Row 2 characters, but I was 12, so what are you gonna do? And I beat the game in a few days with cheats on. I don't know why, but when I was a kid, I was kind of obsessed with cheats, and this is the last game that I remember actually using cheats to beat. Afterwards, I didn't use cheats until I was done beating the game at least one time. Saints Row 3 was a game that I played with my cousin a lot. I really had a lot of fun playing Saints Row 3 with my cousin. I have a lot of memories playing Saints Row 3 with my cousin. Specifically, dildo fights on the helipad of Saints HQ and car jousting at the airport. Those were two things that we did all the time. I mean, like, that's not even, like, fun after 5 minutes. Like, thinking about that now, that doesn't sound fun to me at all to do that at longer than, like, 2 minutes. But we did it all the time. We did that shit every day. I don't know how. And I don't know how I managed to play Saints Row almost every day for, like, a year with him. I don't know how we found stuff to do and how we stayed invested in that, but we did. I don't know if it was because we were dumb kids or if, like, maybe I just forgot that there was a lot of fun things to do if you were in co-op. But needless to say, I don't think my playtime with Saints Row 3 would have lasted nearly as long if I didn't have my cousin to play with. So thanks for that, cousin. I don't know. About a month after Saints Row 3 came out, I kind of had like that light bulb moment in my head where I realized that it just wasn't as good as Saints Row 2. I still liked it, and I still do like it, but it just isn't as good as Saints Row 2 in my opinion. And I remember telling a friend at school how I felt about that, and he never really played Saints Row 2. He really got introduced to Saints Row with the third game, and he tried to argue against my thoughts or whatever. He said that Saints Row 2 had a worse run cycle, meaning that, like, when you run, like, it looks worse than Saints Row 3, which I do agree with that. But his argument was that Saints Row 2's run cycle looked like garbage, and that Saints Row 3's was better, and therefore Saints Row 3 was a better game than Saints Row 2. I mean, granted, we were 12, but, like, come on, dude. So Saints Row 4 came out about a week before I started high school, and I pre-ordered it on Steam. It was one of the first games I remember pre-ordering on Steam, and it was the first Saints Row game that I played on PC first. And when it came out, I played the hell out of it. It was still summertime, so I had a lot of time on my hands. And back then, after beating Saints Row 4, I really preferred it to Saints Row 3. And the reason why, I think, is because of the fan service for the older fans. There was a lot of fan service in Saints Row 4 for people that like Saints Row 1 and 2. And I fell for it. I fell for the fan service, and it made me like the game a lot more. But, I was 14, so what are you going to do? Nowadays, I'm happy the fan service is there, but I don't know. It's going to take a little bit more than a reference or a returning character to satisfy me. I don't really have anything to say about Gat Out of Hell in terms of memories. I beat it when it came out, and I beat it so I could review it last year, and nothing really special sticks out in my mind for either playthroughs. Also, if you've noticed I haven't said anything about Saints Row 1 yet, there's a reason for that. I barely played Saints Row 1 until 2018. My first and only time beating Saints Row 1 was to prepare for my first video I ever uploaded on this channel, my review of Saints Row 1. So the memories are still fresh in my mind, but there aren't really any special ones that are worth talking about. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Those were some Saints Row memories of mine. I hope I didn't leave any out, because that would really suck. But I guess there's always room for another one. I don't know. No promises. But yeah, I don't know. It's 10 years. That's crazy to me. Half of my life, Saints Row has been around. For me. It's been around longer than that. But for me, it's been around for 10 years. And that's crazy to me. But, I'm very happy with the time I spent with Saints Row. And I'm very excited for the future. And I hope you are too.